Hey everybody, welcome and thank you for joining us on today's conference call. This event takes place next Saturday at the Forum in Los Angeles. That's January 20th. It will be the first event on the brand new Paramount Network, formerly Spike, where it will air live and free at 9 p.m. Eastern. On today's call, we've got Bellator President Scott Coker, welterweight champion Douglas Lima, Rory MacDonald, Chael Sonnen, and Rampage Jackson. At this point, I will turn it over to Scott Coker. I do want to mention really quickly, if you want to queue up for questions, please press *1 on your keypad. Again, that's *1 for questions, and I will now turn it over to Scott. Scott?
Hey, thanks, Danny. Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Bellator 192 media call. We have a great event next Saturday at the LA Forum. Again, Danny said it's our inaugural launch into becoming the Paramount Network. It's going to be live and free on Paramount starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'd like to thank Kevin Kay, John Slusser, thank Viacom, and they've all been working really hard making this transition and making this possible. I'd like to thank the fighters that are on the call too, and wish them good luck because this is going to be a great event. As most of you heard yesterday, we've added Big John McCarthy to our broadcast team, who has a great amount of experience and knowledge. He's been a great friend for many years. Really excited to have him on board. And then moving on to the card. I mean, I think we have one of the best welterweight divisions on the planet, and Douglas has been a great champion. He's going to be taking on top contender Rory MacDonald, who's known pound for pound, one of the best in the world. And then we have the heavyweight World Grand Prix for 2018. This will be the inaugural heavyweight fight to try to get to the championship belt at the end of the year, and that's Rampage versus Chael. So we're very excited. You also see exciting fighters like Michael Chandler, Aaron Pico, as well as some of our other upcoming prospects. Again, next Saturday, January 20th, 9 p.m. Paramount, and it's live and free. And that's it, Danny.
All right, thanks, Scott. Operator, if you want to go to our first question.
Our first question comes from the line of Gareth A. Davies with Daily Telegraph.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Could I start, please, by do we have Rampage on the call?
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello, big man. How are you? Rampage, we saw in the last couple of days in some of the viral videos that the organisation, Bellator, the organisation, we're putting out, that you're prepared to pay Chael Sonnen $10,000 for each takedown he gets, and he's looking to get 9 on you, so he's going to take you the distance, put you down 9 times, pick up a clean 90K, thinks he's going to win. How many times are you going to take him down to get your 10K?
That wasn't part of the deal for me to take him down to get my 10K, and Chael was supposed to come back with something to sweeten the bet, so I can, benefit from it. But he said he had to check with his wife.
You guys have been pretty cordial with each other. Obviously, you're very mature fighters. There's no beef between you in terms other than the athletic beef between you both. Do you think there's a chance? Sometimes when this happens, there is the chance this becomes a real barn burner. Obviously, he will be avoiding your heavy hands. But what's your prediction for the way the fight goes, Rampage?
What's that noise?
I don't know. It's not me. I think it's Chael. It's probably Chael backing out of the fight right now.
It's Chael.
My apartment building is doing a.
All right. Can you hear me now?
I can indeed.
Yeah. It ain't no secret. Chael's going to desperately try to take me down, and I'm going to try my best to stay on my feet and throw them hands. It's no secret. There's no secret. Everybody knows what type of fight it's going to be.
Thank you, Rampage. Really looking forward to it. And for you, Chael, are you there?
I'm here. Where else would I possibly be?
I thought that was you. I thought you were just backing your truck out of the press conference then. That was all.
I'm here, buddy. You got a question for me?
I do, and the question is this. He's going to pay you $10K every time you take him to the ground. What are you going to pay him?
Yeah, people think that's a joke, man. I didn't know how to take it either. Rampage is a man of honor. We shook. I think we've got a bet here. So, I told him I can't pay him anything. He said, I want $500 for every jab that I land. I said, Rampage, I'm married. I'm a married man. I can't go around making $500 bets. I used to rule the roost, Gareth. I used to be, anything I wanted to do. I could wake up in Germany tomorrow. Nobody could tell me. Now, I can't make a bet. I got to go get clearance. But I'll tell you, I do agree with Rampage. I got to take him down. He's got to stand up. I got one way to win. It was just to be on top of him and annoy him for 15 minutes. He got one way to win, which is put me to sleep. I've taken a lot of people down. He's put a lot of people to sleep. I mean, this one isn't rocket science.
So if you're pledging then that you're going to pay him $500 every time he lands a jab on you, yeah?
No, just the opposite. As a man of honor, I'm telling you, I am not involved with that. I am not part of that. Chael P is purely here to collect.
And thank you, gentlemen. Can I just ask Rory and Douglas a question as well? And I will. Rory, thank you, gentlemen. Rory, Douglas. Douglas first. Good afternoon.
Afternoon. What's up, guy?
Good, thank you. How are you, sir? I just wanted to ask you, do you think a week on Saturday decides the best welterweight in the world when the title goes ahead between you and Rory MacDonald?
Well, I love to think so. I think Rory's been on the top for a long time. He beat the guy that supposed to be the number one right now. He beat him before, so he can be considered the number one. And I'll take that spot. Once I beat him next Saturday for sure. But honestly, I'm not even thinking about that, man. I'm just focused on the fight. Don't really care much about rankings. There's always going to be somebody saying something that he doesn't deserve to be number one, this and that. So I'm not really focusing on that. Just, focusing on winning this fight, and whatever happens, happens.
Thank you, Douglas. And for you, Rory, obviously you've beaten Tyron Woodley, who's the UFC champion at present. Do you feel this could decide the number one in the world at 170?
Well, I already feel like I'm the number one in the world. It's just about getting it done now, So we'll find out next Saturday what Douglas is made of. But in my head, I'm already number one.
Thank you, gentlemen. I got just a very quick question for Scott Coker from me. Scott, how obviously we can still call the channel Spike, which as Bellator, obviously it won't be when the event comes a week on Saturday, but how important has Spike been for the sport of mixed martial arts and its development? And also, how helpful is it having an organisation, Paramount, Viacom, if you like, a multimedia conglomerate, in the assistance in the kind of things you're trying to do all the time, like the heavyweight tournament, like these huge events at the Forum to kick off the year?
Gareth, I think if you look back at the history of the sport and somebody writes, a chapter, 10, 20, 30 years from now, it should always be noted that before Kevin K. greenlit The Ultimate Fighter and that series took place and exploded MMA, if that didn't happen and Kevin said, no, I'm not into it, I'm not really a fan of MMA, but luckily he was a fan. He was a big fan, and being the president of Spike, he had the ability to make that happen, and that really took off MMA. Otherwise, it was at that crucial point where I remember MMA was, it could have died at that point. And a lot of people don't remember that time, and have become fans since then. But it was a very, very, very critical era in mixed martial arts in the history, and Kevin K. was part of that, and Viacom supported mixed martial arts, or have been supporting mixed martial arts since 2005 when that all went down. So, and then they had many years run with doing many great fights and having a partnership with Zuffa, and then eventually bought their own, which is Bellator, which we're doing now. But the commitment behind MMA from this company from 2005 till today has not, wavered. It's been strong. It's been, consistent. It's been something that, when I came on board, they said, look, let's put on the best events we can put on. Let's buy the best fighters that we can get. Let's build the best talent that we can build, and let's go create a great league. And that's what we're doing.
Our next question comes from the line of Steve Juan with MMA Mania.
Thank you, operator. I have a question for everybody on the line. I'd like to start with Scott Coker. Scott, if I may, we know that John McCarthy is joining the broadcast team at Bellator 192. Who's going to be anchoring the broadcast desk with him?
That would be Goiti.
All right. Was that the future lineup for all of the tentpole shows, or will that be all of the shows going forward?
No, that's for the show, and then sometimes Morrow comes in, and sometimes Goldie's there. But Goldie has the call on the 20th, which will be our inaugural launch next Saturday.
All right, looking forward to it, Scott. Thank you. My next question is for Chael, and I want to know, Mr. Sonnen, what is your ideal weight to be as explosive and dynamic as you were in the fight with Wanderlei Silva going into this heavyweight Grand Prix?
I'd like to be 214. I was 221 this morning. I was 224 a week ago, so I'm headed in the right direction. But I have a goal of getting to 214. It's always been tough. I've never had to lose weight at any point in my life. I've never tried to diet for weight loss, aside from having to make a weight contractually. So that was always the forced discipline that I had in place, and I don't have that this time. So it's taking like an extra element, which I have found some struggles with. It's very hard when you're hungry and laying in bed at night to not eat something when you can. But to answer your question, 214.
All right. Same question for Rampage. Mr. Jackson, what do you want to weigh going into this fight with Chael?
I want to weigh 210, but that's not going to happen.
Right. Well, we look forward to seeing whatever weight you are on the 20th next Saturday. But next, I'd like to go to Douglas Lima. You've faced some awesome challengers over the years for title defenses, guys like Lorenz Larkin, Andrei Koreshkov, and Paul Daly. Where do you rate Rory MacDonald on that list?
Man, at the top of it for sure. His resume speaks for itself. Like I said before, he's been in the top for a long time. He's fought great competition. And yeah, man, I can't wait for it. It's going to be a great fight. It's a big name, type of fights that I've been looking for, and can't wait for it.
All right. And for Rory MacDonald, it's already been referenced on the call that you previously beat Tyron Woodley, who is currently the champion in another organization. But do you think that has any bearing on this fight with Douglas Lima? Can you even compare that fight, the Tyron Woodley fight, to the fight with him and draw anything from it?
Not at all. I don't see any similarities whatsoever. I don't really know what to say. Douglas is a totally different fighter, but I plan on going in there, being aggressive, and taking him out early.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Our next question comes from the line of Alex Lee with MMAfighting.com.
Hi, guys. My first question is for Rampage. I want to ask, you made it clear Chael wasn't your first choice for an opponent in the opening round of this tournament. Who among the field would you have liked to have fought instead?
I don't care. I don't care who I fought, but I like to fight. Guys who don't mind standing up and fighting. I just fought a wrestler my last fight. I really like to fight guys who like to fight instead of just wrestling. You heard Chael say you got to hold me down for 15 minutes. Why would I want to? Why would I be excited about fighting somebody whose game plan is to try to hold me down for 15 minutes?
So like someone like, I mean, does Matt Mitrione jump out at you? I know you said Fedor wasn't someone you wanted to fight, but he's certainly someone who would like to stand with you. Did either of those names, do those appeal to you?
You know, I don't care. I don't care who I fight in the tournament. It's a tournament. You got to fight everybody. But like, if I'm gonna be excited about fighting somebody, it's gonna be somebody who's gonna make it an exciting fight. Somebody who's gonna come and mix it up and do a bunch of things. I don't never care if he was wrestling and take me down. You know what I'm saying? You go wrestle and take me down. Hell, grab me, pound me, go for submission. Don't just plan to hold me down for 15 minutes. Like I'm a true fighter. I'm one of the old school fighters, one of the dying breeds. I get in that cage to put on a show first and win second.
Okay, thanks, Rampage. Next question for Douglas. I want to ask Douglas. You've been one of Bellator's top guys for a while, but that Bellator NYC show was almost kind of like a coming out party. You were fighting at Madison Square Garden on pay-per-view against a contender. A lot of guys were picking to beat you. Has anything changed for you since then, especially ahead of the first U.S. show that you've headlined in over 2 years? Have you felt a raise in profile?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's getting better. Of course, Bellator is bringing out this, these top guys, guys with big names. So I love it, man. I love to have that target in the back. I love being the champion. And, let them all come at me. I love it. I love that, what Bellator is doing. The organization, the division is stacked. The welterweight is the stronger division there. And it feels good to sit on top of it.
Okay, thanks. Last one, Scott, for Scott. Scott, obviously the timing was right for this heavyweight tournament. If it goes well, do you see yourself booking another tournament for any of the other divisions? Should one of those titles become vacant for whatever reason? Or is there just something about heavyweights that make them, conducive to this Grand Prix format, like you also did in Strikeforce?
We're going to leave that door open, and I think that this tournament happened in a kind of organic fashion. We just started signing all these guys, and then pretty soon we're like, oh, we have our lineup here, and the tournament just made a lot of sense. And fighting for the belt at the end, I think, is really going to be a special event for the year. We'll have great storylines all year, but there's a couple other divisions I can see us hosting, next year or the year after. But it's not something we're going to be in the business of hosting or having to do a tournament every year. This was something that made a lot of sense, but we will keep that door open.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Our next question comes from the line of Rodney James Edwards with MMA Latest.
Thank you. That's Edgar, Rodney James Edgar. All right, my first question is for Rampage. Rampage, you and Chael had a bit of a beef back when y'all were both in UFC, and that was a fight that seemed like it almost came together, but it never did. So I'm wondering, is there still any true animosity between y'all on your end?
I don't have any problem with Chael right now. The only problem I got with Chael is that he's in my way, and I'm trying to get this heavyweight belt. That's the only problem I have with Chael. Nothing personal.
Roger that. Hey, how about this, Rampage? Let's up the ante on that bet. How about Scott Coker pays you $20,000 for every time you Rampage slam him? Sorry, Chael.
Every time I slam him.
Yeah.
But
we want to see. That's what the fans want to see.
I know that's what the fans want to see. How come the promoters won't give me somebody, who's not a better wrestler than me, so y'all can see it? I'm be slamming somebody who's a better wrestler than me.
I believe in you, Rampage. You'll figure out a way.
Just figure out a way.
Yeah, you'll figure out a way. I'll
figure out a way. Okay. All right. I've done it once. I slammed Ryan Bader. I didn't think I was going to get him because he's a better wrestler than me, but hell, who knows?
Our next question comes from the line of Jay Anderson with Cageside Press.
Operator. And first for Chael, you fought at middleweight, you fought at light heavyweight, but obviously you're going to be giving up a lot of weight in this. All goes well, you'd be fighting next year, you'd be 41. Is there any concern that this could be fairly taxing on your body, giving up that much weight?
I haven't thought about it being taxing, but it is a first for me. It creates a little bit of anxiety, like as I lay in bed at night and try to work this match through. I've got some teammates that I go with that are as big as Rampage or bigger. And a lot of my techniques just don't work. I'll do everything perfect and hit those guys, and boom, I just get stopped because of the size. So, it's a first for me. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the unknown in the process. I got into grappling lately, and the only reason I went into grappling is just I'd never done it before, and there was some apprehensiveness, and maybe you'd even call it fear, and that's just kind of what I enjoyed about the process. So, I don't totally know what to make about it, and I have had a hard time in practice with some of the stuff I've done, and fortunately have those bodies to go, okay, we might have to go to a plan B or a plan C here. So I don't fully know what to make about it. Edgar had just asked Rampage if this was fight, had any animosity. And I want to just add to that because it doesn't. And one thing we found in fighting is we kind of need a little animosity. I've never called somebody out unless I really wanted to fight them and just had a way. But this is different. It's a tournament. I just did an interview this morning. Somebody asked me, hey, if you beat Rampage, you're going to call out Fedor. But it doesn't work that way. We're in a tournament. This is the way the Olympics does it. This is the way the NFL does it. This is the way the NCAA does it. So it's not about drama and having bad blood, man. It's a straight line bracket like every mainstream sport out there. It's really rare. Coker got put in a tough spot where he leaked that, hey, pretty soon I'm going to crown a heavyweight champion. Everybody starts calling him and saying, well, I want to be in that fight, making all their arguments by way that, I'm 5-0 and I beat this guy and that guy. And finally he just throws his hands up and goes, okay, you 8 guys keep blowing me up. How about I throw you all in a tournament, and whoever's left standing, I'll put the belt around. And we all stand back and go, yeah, that's fair.
Just a follow-up question to that. We saw in another promotion GSP come back and then, kind of walk away from the belt. If you win this heavyweight title at 41, is that a case where you do want to stick around and defend it for a while, or would you consider kind of going off into the sunset on top?
Well, I get split a little bit on that. I definitely would not go anywhere else or use that as a negotiation tool. I want to make that really clear. I'm completely loyal to Bellator and would not even consider anything else. But I really believe, and I'm a traditionalist. I'm a fan first. I really believe that you've got to defend it. I don't feel anybody should go out on top. And some guys do. George St. Pierre is one of them, but he gave them every chance in the world to beat him. He gave guys rematches, and some guys got 3 matches. He changed weight. He did everything he could do to get beat and pass that torch. He was just that damn good. And aside from him and Lennox Lewis, I can't think of anyone that goes out on top. We all our careers in the same, face down and embarrassed. And I think that I'm going to follow suit on that. I mean, that's what will be up. I don't want to leave anything on the table. If I got one more match or one more walk or one more experience, good, bad, or indifferent, I'm going to take it.
All right, and a question for Rory, if I can. Rory, you referred to yourself as an A-plus athlete compared to some A athletes. What, if anything, does Douglas Lima present to you that you either haven't seen before or maybe not as good as he does it?
Well, I think Douglas his biggest strength is his power. He can hit hard from pretty much anywhere, and I think that's the biggest thing. But I've fought a lot of power hitters before, and I've been very successful against those guys. So I'm not too stressed about it. But he is dynamic. He's good on the ground as well. He's a strong athlete. So pretty much every position we're going to be in, it's going to be a fight. I can assume that, but I think his biggest asset is going to be his power.
Hey, Rory, just one quick other question. The label going around, the Canadian Cycle label, does that get you at all? Does it bother you at all? Does any trash talk get to you?
No, I'm indifferent about it. I don't really care.
All right, thanks, Rory. And Scott Coker, just one final question. Do we have the names of any alternates for the Grand Prix, and do we know when any of the alternate fights are going down?
Yeah, we do, and we will start announcing that at a later date.
Great, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from the line of Steven Morocco with MMAJunkie.com.
I was literally just about to ask Scott if you had any if you had the alternate set for the tournament, but do you have any idea when you're going to be announcing those?
Yes, probably look for us at the post-fight press conference on Saturday.
Okay, cool. Shane Carwin put his name in the hat about 2 months ago. Is it too early to ask if he's one of the guys, or?
I know that Rich is continuing to talk to them, but by no means does that mean that he's locked in for an alternate yet.
Okay, and then also Rory put his name in the hat. He said he thought he would be used as an alternate. Is that even conceivable for in your mind?
Well, I think Rory has a big fight coming up that he's focused on, at 170 pounds. So, let's see how that works out. And then, as far as him fighting in heavyweight, I love Rory. The thing I love about him is that, he's a real martial artist, and the weight class issue doesn't bother him. But I think that we'll probably stick to heavyweights for fighters that actually can make it over 205 pounds.
Rory, is that still a thing for you? You mentioned it on the MMA Hour a little while ago. Was that serious, or is that just something you were sort of musing about?
No, I would definitely take part in it if I had the opportunity. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't do it. Do you think you'd be competitive at heavyweight with such a big gap in weight? I think anytime I get in a fight against anybody, it's going to be competitive. I'm the type of fighter that's going to go down swinging to my last breath. So even if these guys are, massive, I'm still gonna make them feel something. I'm gonna make them fight for it. That's for sure.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Our next question comes from the line of Damon Martin with MMAweekly.com.
Hey, guys, first question for Rory. Rory, throughout your career, you fought, the best of the best in welterweight when you were in the UFC. Where would you put Douglas Lima in that list? I mean, considering you have fought the current UFC champion, the number one contender in the UFC, I mean, you're kind of a good measuring stick for, where this sits. Where do you put Douglas Lima in kind of like the list of tough opponents you faced?
Right up there at the top. Any, the top 5 or top 10 guys. He had he beat his last opponent there. Now I'm forgetting his name, but he was in the top 10 and he was doing really well. But I would imagine Douglas would fit very well in the top 5 in the UFC. So I'm preparing for one of the world's best, that's for sure.
You said it earlier, Rory, you already believe you're the number one welterweight in the world, but is that important to you to have that narrative coming out of this fight? We always have that debate of, it was Pride versus the UFC, and now it's UFC versus Bellator. I mean, is it important to you that people would consider you the number one welterweight in the sport, regardless of organization?
I think it's an added cool factor to have that debate going on. With more guys coming over from the UFC and into Bellator, I think that just makes the debate that much closer of an argument, But I think that my performances will speak for themselves, and people will be able to, make up their own mind. And I think they'll see for themselves where the class of fighter that I am when they see me fight on Saturday.
And Rory, you have mentioned, several times the possibility of jumping around, doing some fights at other weights, maybe going to middleweight. Douglas Lima is clearly the number one guy in Bellator. He has been there for a while, and obviously he's beaten pretty much everybody. If you beat him, I mean, is that kind of the goal, to maybe go to middleweight, test yourself, or are there still other fights for you at welterweight? Is defending the title important, or is it maybe about, finding the best challenges?
I think it's all about timing. So I'm pretty much open to anything, whatever is the best thing at that particular time. I'm pretty much ready to jump on it. So for example, if there's not really a clear number one contender for me to fight at welterweight, if I beat Douglas, I'd be happy to fight for the middleweight title. or fight someone with a bigger name that might be in a larger weight class. I'm really open to any option. I think it just comes down to timing and availability and what the fans are most excited to see at that particular time.
And a question for Douglas Lima. Douglas, obviously Rory is a, phenomenal welterweight and has been around the sport for a lot of time, but do you feel overlooked at all going into this fight? Like, do you feel like the underdog, or how is your, perspective considering you are the champion?
I mean, I'm being considered the underdog for many people. In my eyes, I'm not the underdog. I'm the champion. I know he's fought, bigger names, throughout his career, but I don't think it matters who's the underdog or not. I don't think it really matters. I know this is going to get one of the best fights at welterweight right now. It doesn't matter which organization. I think at welterweight, this is one of the best fights ever. So, I feel pretty good. I feel in my prime, right now. I'm still young, I'm hungry, and, same for him. So, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter, if I'm the underdog or not. I'm just ready to compete, man. I work very hard. I've been training for this fight since my last fight, this fight was supposed to take place last year. So I've been ready. I've been ready this whole time. I'm healthier than ever. And I'm just looking forward to this fight.
And two quick questions for Scott Coker. Scott, I'm curious with the matchups in the heavyweight, Grand Prix. I mean, obviously it's a really fun Grand Prix, but was there a reason behind, matching up, kind of like the light heavyweights against the light heavyweights, the heavyweights against the heavyweights in the first round versus kind of mixing things up? Was that always the plan, or was it just the way things worked out that you didn't have maybe, Rampage fight a Matt Mitrione?
Timing was part of it, when these guys were going to be ready. And then, we sat down as a group and said, hey, we think that this will be the fights that the fans want to see, and that's what we laid out. So it was really a timing issue.
And last for me, Scott, the timing of the tournament, you got basically one fight, over the next, few months here with the tournament kicking off with, obviously Rampage and Chael and moving into February. Was there a reason to stretch it out over a few months versus having maybe all the fights within a 2-month period, or was it just the timing so you could basically have the end of the tournament in December? I'm assuming that's the plan.
Yeah, that is the plan. I mean, we've hosted tournaments where, we did four men in one night, and then we've, been around when we were doing K1, all 8 fighters in one night. I mean, it's just to do it all in one night. It's just for MMA. It's just people get hurt. It just doesn't work. And even the four-man tournament was really tough. And we had injuries, and so I said, you know what? Let's just have single elimination, and let's just do it over a period of the year, because these guys all are big stars, big brand names of their own. They could all carry a main event on their own, and it's a great storytelling vehicle for the next 12 months. And having the vacant title as the prize at the end, I think is a very intriguing story.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from the line of Ty O'Keefe with the Fight Network.
Hey, guys. Thanks for talking to us today. My first question is for Rory. You spoke about fighting at different weight classes several times and things like that. But do you think that moving forward, that's the only way you're going to be able to stay as busy as you want to with Bellator, is by seeking out other fights outside the welterweight division?
I don't think so. I think there's plenty of good talent at welterweight. I could be very busy for a long time with the amount of fighters they have at welterweight, but I'm seeking just, I'm looking past more. I want to achieve more than just one weight class. I want to broaden my horizons a little bit.
Definitely. My next question is for Chael Sonnen. You've been in the sport a very long time. If you did win this heavyweight Grand Prix, where would that stand on your list of career accomplishments?
Oh, it'd be my greatest accomplishment, man. I'm a tournament guy. That's what I grew up doing, 4 or 5 guys in one day every single Saturday. And I love this tournament. I wish it was all in one night. That's old school. I think that's something that it sounds a little better to say than to actually do. I couldn't really see anybody in this tournament fighting 3 other guys in this tournament in one night, but that is the old school. It sure would be fun, as a fan and to get to be part of. But I mean, it'd be a huge accomplishment. I love tournaments. They're super tough. I love fighting these big name guys, man. I'm a fan before everything else. I know all of these guys. I know everything about all these guys. I've never had to study 1 second of Rampage for this match because I've seen all of Rampage's matches. I get asked the question all the time, who's a better talker, you or Conor McGregor? People ask me that. And I go, I'm happy to answer, but you're leaving one guy out. You're leaving out Rampage. That's the original guy to bring out charisma. I can tell you how many times I was in my living room with a bunch of friends watching a pay-per-view. We'd all watch the fight and the party would be going on, and as soon as it was done, everybody would shush everybody so we could hear what Rampage had to say. So yes, it would be my biggest accomplishment, but I think I speak for everybody. Ryan Bader comes to this tournament as a sitting world champion. I think Ryan Bader himself would have to tell you, man, this would take the cake.
Yeah, definitely. My next question is for Scott Coker. I got to speak to you briefly just before Bellator NYC, and I asked you then if you did attract new fans from that, which obviously you did from the Bellator NYC event. What were you going to do to keep them coming back? And so my question is, are you satisfied with what Bellator has done, in order to keep those new fans coming back post Bellator NYC?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the quality of fights that we've done post NYC, or even before, or even on the night of NYC on the Spike telecast at that time, and the commitment that we're making to this tournament to air on Paramount Network. It's something that I think the fans have appreciated and have been thankful, and we've been getting a lot of good response. And we're excited about this year. It's going to be, I think, hopefully a record-breaking year for us.
Guys, we're going to take 1 or 2 more questions. Operator, you can go to the next caller.
The next question comes from the line of Jim Edwards with MMA Nick.
Yeah, hi there, guys. My question's for Chael. Chael, I've seen you've been doing a lot of breakdowns on your YouTube channel recently. How do you kind of see this main event playing out between Rory and Lima?
Man, I love it. I can tell you my ego is greatly affected anytime I'm not the main event, and co-main event is exactly where I belong on this card. Rory MacDonald is so good. I can't think of anybody George St. Pierre has ever handed a compliment to, and St. Pierre will tell anybody that'll listen that Rory MacDonald, if not being the best welterweight, is the second best to him. With that, I call out guys like John Jones, I call out Fedor, I call out Anderson Silva, I call out Rampage Jackson, I call out Rory MacDonald because he's every bit as good as those guys. He's nasty and he's scary. He beat the defending champion from Vegas. A lot of people thought he was winning against Robbie Law. I mean, you go on and on about this guy. And with that said, he's not our champion. Douglas Lima is. Douglas Lima is the most disrespected guy in all of MMA. He's been a highlight reel for Bellator for 2 years. He was supposed to get knocked out in his last fight. Not only did he not get knocked out, he knocked the other guy down. He's got incredible hands. He's huge. He should be a middleweight, but he's a man of honor that signed a contract, so he honors the contract. And that's not even where he does his best work. His skills are on the ground. He's just so damn good, he doesn't even have to go there. I just hope that we can, if anything comes of this night, I hope we can all agree in sportsmanship that if Lima gets over on Rory, we finally give him his due.
Thanks, Chael.
Well, Douglas, let me ask you, man, do you feel that a win over Rory is going to kind of make people take notice and finally give you that respect that you obviously were?
I hope so, Rod. I really do. I'm just going to, go over there, give my best, try to knock his head off. But if that's not enough, then we just keep fighting. What can I do,
And just one last one for Rory as well. Rory, I know recently you obtained, I guess, a very lucrative sponsorship from the kind of cryptocurrency community. Can you tell us how that kind of came about? And I guess when you weigh this fight up against some of the fights in your last organization, how much more are you getting for this fight, I guess, from sponsors than back in the other organization?
Yeah, I'm getting sponsored by a cryptocurrency. It's called Dash Digital Cash. And how it came about was basically someone in the community was talking to Faraz, my coach in Montreal, and me and Faraz had been involved in crypto for years now, so we always talk about it. And anyway, he passed along this guy from Dash, and we put together a sponsorship proposal to the community, and the proposal passed. So this will be hopefully the first of many sponsorships with Dash and me, and hopefully what I see is Dash coming into the MMA community, and hopefully Bellator could jump on it, and a lot of the other fighters can reap the rewards of that. That's one of my main goals, is that it's not just for me, but this is going to be a big opportunity for many other fighters and even Bellator itself.
Great stuff, guys. Thanks for your time.
Our last question comes from the line of Oscar Willis with the Mac Life.
Hi guys, this is a question for Chael. During the lead up to this fight, you described a altercation with yourself and Rampage in Arizona that had to be separated by Michael Bisping. I was wondering if you could just expand on that. What exactly was it about, and how did it come that Bisping was the one to separate you both?
Yeah, I mean, it's just heat that goes back a long time, and I really can't remember. I've got such a short-term memory, and the last time I was with Rampage, which was 2 weeks ago, he was such a gentleman. It was like, oh my God, do we have to start this over? It's like a guy I had never met before. Started many years ago. Dana White got involved. He tried to make the fight. He offered us coaching spots on The Ultimate Fighter and was going to build this thing, and it just never came around. I was going to move into the weight class. I was a middleweight at the time, and I can't remember all the history. I ended up somewhere in Chicago, and I got into it with some guy, and we were just visiting socially, and it escalated. Well, that dude turned out to be Rampage's brother, so it gets back to Rampage. I mean, just everything that could go wrong between us went wrong between us, and we ended up in a hotel lobby. I was getting ready to take on Bisping in a grappling match. Rampage was going to commentate it, and things just escalated. I don't even know why they put us at the same hotel, and ultimately Bisping had to get in and break the whole thing up. So I never thought our paths were going to cross. Rampage was going in one direction. He was in San Jose. I was with the guys in Vegas, or maybe I was even sitting in the principal's office at the time. And things just finally came around. I mean, I'm jumping around on the story, but I've got you 90% there.
Okay. And so obviously the pair of you have been fairly amicable in the lead up to this. So how do those bad feelings subside? Is it just a case of time expiring and you slowly get over it, or was there a reason that you guys sort of made things up?
Yeah, I have no idea, man. I got out to LA about 10 or 12 days ago, and Rampage was just such a nice guy. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. There was really I don't like to manufacture. I get said to be, Chael will talk some trash or something, but I've never seen myself that way. I'm a truth talker. If I don't see it, I won't say it. I won't make something up to sell a fight or anything else. I mean, it's just the reality. And fortunately, we're in a bracketed format where animosity's got nothing to do with it. Your skills have everything to do with it. Somebody's going to advance, and they're going to go against the next guy who had skills and could advance. So, I mean, I'll leave it where it lies, but that was my experience. He might have a different one to share.
Fair enough. And speaking of this being a bracketed tournament, you're well known for planning things ahead of time, sort of knowing who your next opponent is after this one. Do you see a pathway through this tournament to victory? Do you sort of look at, say, like, well, if Bader loses to Mo, I have a better shot, or vice versa? Do you see a pathway to victory, or are you just taking this one step at a time?
No, I play the bracket through 10 times a day, every single day. What could possibly happen? And I do it a lot to take my focus off Rampage. I don't like to focus on one guy. I like to be distracted. I like to have something else to look forward to. So looking past Rampage is a risky game. I mean, that's a former world champion right there. But, yeah, I do. I'm real interested in the Mir match, Mir and Fedor. I can see that going both ways. I'm not one of the guys that's writing Fedor off yet. I think there's been some real circumstance as to some of his last matches. I mean, come on, him and Mitrione knock each other down at the exact same time. It was just a really weird circumstance. So, I'm not on board with that. I don't want to fight Mo because, we go back to college days. I just would rather not fight him. And so
Could he get eliminated? Maybe, but he does his best work against those bigger guys, those guys that have a little harder time getting out of the way, and he steps in big and powerful and fast and puts them down. So I think he's a likely guy to advance. I think Mitch Rayon's the real number one contender. If Coker wasn't doing the tournament, he was just doing a one-off like is tradition in this sport, I think that Mitch Rayon would be 50% of that, and we'd have to find someone to fight him. That's my opinion. He's also the Vegas favorite. So I think Rampage and I got very lucky only in one regard, which is we're first. And in these tournaments, another reporter brought it up at the beginning of this press conference, but it is about who can hold up. There's a reason they have to have alternates. I know Rampage will walk out there no matter how he feels. I promise you I will walk out there no matter how I feel. But I don't know that I can say that about the other 6 guys. Some of them even have a history of pulling out of fights for not feeling great. So you got to have these alternates, and we did get lucky. We're up first. That means we have, if nothing else, we have the most time to recover.
Perfect. Well, I think that's a great way to end it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Oscar. And I want to just take this time to thank all the media. I'm sorry if we didn't get to your call. Just thank you to the fighters and the media for attending this call, and we'll talk to you soon. See you next Saturday at the Forum, live on the Paramount Network and free. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.